Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Facebook Live. This is Dr. Mamta Dikhe. I'm the director of Zenith Advanced Fertility Center in Pune. We are in Wakad and Koregaon Park. So today I'm going to talk to you on endometriosis. I think this topic is very important, not just in terms of fertility, but very, very important for young women who suffer from a lot of pain during periods. So dysmenorrhea, as we call it, or painful periods, one of the causes, important causes, could be endometriosis. And most of the times, girls are told that this is just dysmenorrhea, it will go away with passage of time, or it will go away after you get married, etc., etc. And that is what causes a delay in the diagnosis of endometriosis. It is very, very important to understand what it is, because it can actually affect not just her fertility and her reproductive health, but her entire life. Because in terms of the pain, she missing school, college, work because of the dysmenorrhea is a very common factor in endometriosis. So now at the outset, let me start by explaining what is endometriosis. We use these big words, but what we want to do is to try and simplify it for you so that you get to understand what endometriosis is. So I'm going to explain this to you with a small diagram. Okay, so I hope all of you can see this. This is again a cross section of the uterus. This is, please don't go by what is written over here, because this picture has been used to explain what is hysterosalpingography. So that is not what I am telling you. Let me put it this way if possible. Let me see. Yes. So this is a cross section of the uterus, right? Now this part, the uterus basically is made up of the cavity. This is where the baby grows, the muscle layer and the serosal layer. That is the external part of the uterus. Now please remember, each of these layers has a different type of lining. Now, I always, to make it simple, I always try to explain that, if you look at your cheek, the inner side is pink mucosa, the outer side is skin. So, and there is a very fine demarcation between the two. You don't know how these things are merging, but still, there is a kind of a junction between these two. So similarly, the cells that line the cavity are very different from this muscle cells again, and these are supposed, this is called the endomyometrial lining. So which means that the lining of the endometrium should not come into the muscle layer. When a woman gets menses, this lining is shed and it comes out in the form of menses. That's what is supposed to happen. Now unfortunately, for some women, we do not know the cause yet. There are many theories for what is the cause of endometriosis, but nobody has still kind of, come down to a single cause of endometriosis. But the commonest theory is that the lining, the cells that line the cavity of the uterus flow backwards from the tube, and this blood that is supposed to come out, it's also flowing out, but it's also coming from the tubes and spilling all over the pelvis. So it can spill on the ovaries, it can spill near the tubes, it can spill in the pelvic area. Some of these layers can actually seep into the muscle layers, which is called the endometriosis of the uterus or adenomyosis. Now, what happens is that every time there is menstruation, there will be a backflow. So basically, endometriosis keeps on getting added. Every month there could be a backflow, because as you're bleeding, you're also bleeding inside. There is also inflammation inside, That is the reason that there is a lot of pain associated with menses in girls who have endometriosis. Again, like I always try to explain, even if you have a blood clot somewhere, you get hurt and you have a blood clot, you can see how it shrinks. You know that it shrinks, and it is called fibrosis. So it forms a kind of a fibrotic tissue, and even inside the pelvis, fibrotic tissue can form. It can trap the ovaries, it can trap the tubes, and it can cause a lot of adhesions. So it will just pull up everything. It will make it adherent to the different organs in the pelvis. Endometriosis can occur at any place in the pelvis and even occur distantly. So we know that endometriosis can even happen in the lungs, in the vagina. So all these things can happen. So there are various theories for that. But mainly, more than 90% of the times, the area is in the pelvis. So what is happening is this lining is getting spilled all over the pelvic area. Now, not only is it affecting the quality and the quantity of the ovaries, because if the blood starts getting deposited in the ovary, it is going to take up the amount of follicles that are present. And because this blood that is being kind of washed out of the body contains a lot of inflammatory and toxic kind of substances, by the mere presence of that blood being over here, it can affect the quality of the egg. Hence, endometriosis can affect the quality and quantity of the eggs. It can affect the tubes, cause adhesions. It can affect the uterus and decrease implantation. It can release toxic substances which can probably kill sperms. It may not form good quality embryos, and the chance of the embryo sticking to the uterus becomes less. So these are the ways by which endometriosis causes infertility. And of course, by the other mechanisms that I said, that it releases lot of inflammatory substances, toxic substances, and because there is adhesion inside, that causes pain. And also, sometimes when there is deep endometriosis, if the endometriosis is deposited behind the uterus and it gets stuck up in the pouch of Douglas, that is the posterior part of the uterus, when having intercourse, again this woman can experience pain. That is called dyspareunia, and hence dysmenorrhea, that is painful periods, dyspareunia, that is difficult or painful intercourse, and infertility. This is the triad of endometriosis. Now, the question is, how do you diagnose endometriosis? Now, we used to say that the golden method of diagnosing endometriosis is a laparoscopy. So what is a laparoscopy? That is when you put a small camera inside the pelvis, like it is a small surgical procedure where you take a small nick below the umbilicus and then you put a camera inside the uterus. And when the laparoscope goes inside the uterus, that is from above, you're putting a camera inside, and then you're actually visualizing this entire pelvic area. But this becomes an invasive procedure. With the new kinds of imaging technologies that we have, the high-end ultrasound machines, the MRI, it has become quite possible to diagnose endometriosis without doing invasive procedures. So one thing I want everybody to understand is that if there is extremely painful periods, where the pain starts before menses and continues for, throughout the time of periods, if you have to take medications during your menses to, help you alleviate the pain, and if this is a chronic thing, then please meet your gynecologist and get an imaging technology like an ultrasound or an MRI done. Obviously, ultrasound is the first step to make sure that you do not have endometriosis. It is very important to pick up endometriosis early. A lot of women who come to us with unexplained infertility, right? What is unexplained infertility? When the eggs are found to be adequate in number, the semen analysis is normal, the uterus looks fine on ultrasound, and the tubes look open on an imaging like an HSG technique, then we say that, okay, the eggs, sperms, uterus and tubes all look normal, so this must be unexplained infertility. But remember, to really label a woman as unexplained infertility, we need to make sure that her pelvis is also clean, and that sometimes you understand only by doing a laparoscopy. And it has been observed that nearly 43 to 64% of women who are labeled as unexplained infertility actually have endometriosis. So if you miss this, then there will be a delay in diagnosing the endometriosis. There will be more time passed between you trying to attempt for a pregnancy and then not leading to it. Whereas if you can pick up endometriosis in its early stages, it can be treated and the chances of pregnancy will be much higher. So the first point is to try and understand from your symptoms as to whether there could be a problem of endometriosis. The second is to meet your gynecologist to do a very good ultrasound. Now, let me highlight a little bit about ultrasound. There are certain signs, right, for diagnosing an endometriosis. Many times, a specialist who knows what the signs are on an ultrasound to pick up endometriosis needs to be doing the scan so that it can get picked up early. For example, we say that you have to put the probe. Suppose if this woman is married or she's already sexually active, in such cases we prefer doing a transvaginal ultrasound where the ultrasound probe goes in through the vagina. So when we are putting the probe through the vagina, we have to go into the pouch of Douglas and then try and see whether this ovary is adherent to the uterus. Is there a sliding sign? So there are many, I'm not going to go into the details of this, but there are, to be precise, 4 points have been given which can identify the possibility of having endometriosis. And if these are present, the probability of having endometriosis is 95%. So be very precise, get the ultrasound done very, very carefully, properly. Do not delay in getting it. Now let us come to endometriosis and infertility. Like I said, that it could be, if you have unexplained infertility, again, there could be a possibility of endometriosis. But at times, we get people already diagnosed with endometriosis. So here we have to try and understand the severity of the endometriosis. Is it minimal or mild endometriosis? Is it moderate or severe endometriosis? And then decide what is the next course of treatment. Be aware that just because you have minimal or mild endometriosis, it does not mean that you cannot conceive naturally, right? There is a good possibility that with my minimal and mild endometriosis, natural conception can take place. But in case pregnancy is not happening and you have endometriosis, then there are a couple of things to be done. So what are the things that we do? In such cases, first, we always individualize the couple in the sense, is this woman young? Is her ovarian reserve normal? Her ovarian reserve is the number of eggs that she has in her ovary. Are her tubes good, healthy and patent? And is the husband's semen analysis normal? Now, if this is a young woman with good ovarian reserve, with minimal or mild endometriosis, with a normal semen analysis and patent open tubes, then a controlled ovarian hyperstimulation with IUI can give very good results in this woman. So what is controlled ovarian stimulation and IUI? So please understand, we are talking about a woman now who has endometriosis and has infertility. So she has come to us after trying naturally, maybe for more than a year or a couple of years, and now she's presenting to us with minimal to mild endometriosis, but all other parameters normal, and she is young, she has a good ovarian reserve. Under such circumstances, we advise an IUI treatment to such women. IUI is intrauterine insemination, where the semen is washed and the motile sperms are taken and put inside the cavity of the uterus over here, hoping that these sperms can travel into the tubes and fertilize the egg that has just ovulated. That is IUI. So I'm sure you're going to ask me that, the problem of endometriosis is in the woman. Why are you doing an IUI, which entails washing the semen sample and putting it inside? Now, please remember that many a times the eggs and the sperms are kind of balancing each other out, So also it has been observed by many studies that when you do an ovarian stimulation, so what do I mean by ovarian stimulation? Even though this woman is ovulating, so there are certain women who don't get their periods in time and they don't produce an egg in time. But there are women who produce their eggs in time. Even under such circumstances, we are going to do a hyperstimulation or a super ovulation. What it means is that we will be giving some drugs, tablets, injections to this woman and making more than one egg. How many do we want? 2 to 3. Why do we want this? Because there is a higher probability or possibility of pregnancy. With endometriosis, like I've said before, the quality of the egg can get affected. And all eggs in a woman or in any woman are not good. So hence, when you have more number of eggs, when you increase the gametes, you increase both the number of eggs and you increase the quantity and the quality of the sperm, and you do the IUI exactly around the time of ovulation. Many studies have seen that the chances of pregnancy, if you do a super ovulation and IUI in cases of endometriosis, are 4 times higher compared to just trying naturally. So please be aware, if you're already diagnosed as a case of endometriosis and you're already a case of subfertility or infertility, it might be prudent to go ahead and try an IUI instead of just expectant management and waiting for a natural pregnancy. Now, if there is very severe case of endometriosis or multiple attempts with IUI have failed in this woman, or this is an older woman with a lower ovarian reserve, so she does not have too many eggs in her ovary left now, again because of her age. There is a double effect of age plus the endometriosis on the quality of the egg. Under such circumstances, when multiple IUIs have failed, if this is an older woman or if there is a moderate severe case of endometriosis, or if the tubes are not very good, they are inflamed, there are a lot of adhesions, or if the semen analysis is not good, then under such circumstances, in cases of endometriosis, we go ahead and plan an IVF cycle. A very important thing to remember always is that every patient is not the same. IVF will give you success rates if you identify what the problem is in the woman. So, like they say, the devil is in the details. So, IVF does not just mean give injections, make eggs, get them out, fertilize them and put them inside. With endometriosis, you need to understand that it could have affected the quality of the egg. We need to understand that there is chronic inflammation inside. We need to understand that there could be certain immunological problems. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that there are some women in whom the blood backflows from the tubes into the pelvis, but they do not get endometriosis. The body just clears it out. But there are some women where the blood flow will flow back, but these women develop endometriosis. So there is one theory of endometriosis where there is alteration in the immune mechanism of that woman. So we know that there could be immune factors which could be affecting the implantation and embryo in this woman. Hence, when you have endometriosis and when you're treating a woman of endometriosis, whether it be for IUI, for natural conception, and especially for IVF, the fertility specialist has to make sure that the right things are done, the pre-medication, the care during stimulation, the methodologies in the laboratory, and the treatment methods that are used around the time of implantation are very precise. So that is what leads to better chances of implantation. So this is in short about endometriosis. I am not going to talk more. I know that it's best to keep it short and try to get the points across. I hope I have thrown some light on endometriosis, not only for women who are attempting a pregnancy, but even for all the young girls out there, the adolescents, the young girls who are struggling with this very, very painful periods. And one last word is that if there is endometriosis, if you are a young woman who is struggling with endometriosis, you are not married yet, and you're not planning for a pregnancy immediately, or you are not planning for getting married immediately, again consult a fertility specialist and talk to them whether you should try and freeze your oocytes. Because like I said, every month there is going to be this backflow, and there's a possibility that endometriosis will keep increasing. It will go from mild to moderate, to severe endometriosis. It could keep impacting the number of eggs in your ovaries, which will go down. It will keep impacting the quality. So if there is endometriosis, don't just think of pain, think of your fertility possibilities and what you can do to achieve those. And if you are a case of unexplained infertility, meet a good fertility specialist to understand whether you fall in that 43 to 64% of women who have endometriosis when they have been labeled as unexplained infertility. And if there is infertility associated with endometriosis, again meet your fertility specialist to understand whether it is the IUI that will work for you, or whether you need to go on to more advanced forms of treatment like IVF. So thank you for joining us, and I hope that this creates more awareness amongst everyone, not only the young girls, even their mothers, because I know that mothers are very, very stressed out when there are a lot of menstrual issues. So be safe. I think in today's day and age, it is better to get everything screened and make sure that things are fine. And if they are fine, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. But if a problem is detected, the earlier you act on it, the better is going to be the prognosis. Thank you so much, all of you. I hope this has helped you. Please follow us on all our social media handles. We are present on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. And if you have any queries, questions, or if you would like us to specifically address certain topics, please do write to us on our email info@zenith.ivf. Zenith is with an X, XENITH, zenithivf.com. Have a wonderful weekend, all of you, and see you soon in our next episode of FB Live. Bye-bye, signing off.